who leaked information about the Russian military ship hit by Scalp. The situation on the battlefield, new offensive in the Bakhmut direction, and will Avdiivka hold? The Ukrainian army is consolidating on the left bank of the Kherson region. Also, another hangover of Dmitry Alka Medvedev and news from Finland. I'm Maria Drutska, and all this in today's release. On November 9th, advisor to the mayor of temporarily occupied Mariupol in the Donetsk region wrote that there was a strike on the building of the former collective farm Soviet Ukraine in Skadovsk. Such an irony. According to him, there were at least 15 wounded invaders and 5 eliminated. There are dead among the officers of the occupiers. A representative of the main intelligence directorate reported that representatives of the Russian FSB were supposed to be in the building at the time of the explosion. However, he did not specify whether anyone from the FSB was injured. I remind you, Russian invaders entered Skadovsk at the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Some Ukrainian pilots are already undergoing training in the sky with instructors of F-16 fighters. This was stated by the spokesman of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. He noted that the training of pilots of F-16 is progressing according to plan. At the same time, he added that there is a little information about this because partners do not want to publicize the details of the training process. According to him, it is now important to keep the sky in Ukraine. He reminded of the successful actions of our Air Force these days when tactical aviation pilots sent after the Russian ship another carrier of calibers. Ignat emphasized that everything possible is being done to receive Western technology F-16. Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba noted that the optimistic arrival time of F-16 fighters in Ukraine in the first half of 2024. He stated that the pilots must complete their training, and in the same time now the infrastructure for these aircraft is being prepared in Ukraine. And while the Russian victory is getting closer and closer, as they claim in Russia, our missiles fly further and further. A version of the organization of the strike of the armed forces of Ukraine with a Scalp cruise missile on the Russian missile carrier Askold on October 4th in Kerch appeared online. I remind you, Askold is a small missile carrier armed with up to 8 caliber cruise missiles with a range exceeding 1,500 miles. It was reported that the vessel was still undergoing trials in the Black Sea. As the Crimean wind channel rise, the coordinates of Askold could have been leaked to the Ukrainian side by the commander of the small missile ship Ingushetia of the 41st Brigade of Missile Ships and Boats of the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Armed Forces Yermolenko, a native Crimean. The channel claims that for this information the officer was supposed to receive $1,000 but bargained for $1,500. Under the leadership of Yermolenko, the crew of the small missile ship Ingushetia carried out launches of caliber cruise missiles at civilian objects on the territory of Ukraine. The reason for cooperation with the armed forces of Ukraine could be nightmares in which he was hunted by civilians killed by the strikes, the channel's authors claim. Earlier, the armed forces of Ukraine confirmed the strike on Askold, one of the most modern ships of the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Federation, equipped with 8 missile launchers, the Panzer M anti-aircraft missile system, and the Orlan 10 reconnaissance UAV complex. Ukraine is preparing a series of operations similar to the recent destruction of the Russian Black Sea Fleet's small missile ship Askol in occupied Kerch, according to a representative of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense, Andriy Yusov. He said currently preparation is underway for a whole series of operations similar to the destruction of the Askol ship in Kerch. There are still enough caliber carriers in the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Federation. We should not only be connected with Askol. I'm confident that there will be news soon, he said, and we are waiting impatiently with you. And guys, please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel and help us grow, you can do so through my Patreon or buy me a coffee, which I have shared in the description below. On the Bakhmut front, Russian occupiers are no longer on the offensive and have begun to attack with new strength. This was stated on air by the head of the Public Relations Service of the Command of the Ground Forces of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. He reported that within one day, Ukrainian defenders repelled 15 attacks by the Russian army on the Bakhmut front. The representative of the Armed Forces of Ukraine noted that the escalation near Bakhmut began last week. Before that, the occupiers were in a static defense, and now they are trying to probe the defense of the armed forces of Ukraine, find weak spots, and conduct active artillery work on Ukrainian positions. He noted that over the course of the day in this direction, 140 Russians were eliminated and more than 28 units of equipment were destroyed, of which more than 10 were various types of artillery systems. On November 11th, the number of Russian attacks on the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine somewhat decreased, although the situation remains tense. There were 80 combat engagements across all front sections against 87 the day before. The number of attacks on Avdiivka has almost halved. In its regular briefing, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine again emphasized that the Russians actively use aviation during their attacks. The largest concentration of Russian forces and resources along the front is currently focused in the Avdiivka area. The occupiers openly declare that they want to create an encirclement around Avdiivka. Even huge losses do not stop the Russians. During the months of active assault on Avdiivka in the Donetsk region, Russian occupiers lost about 10,000 of their military personnel. In addition, Ukrainian warriors destroyed over 100 Russian tanks, 250 other armored vehicles, about 50 artillery systems, and 7 Su-25 aircraft. There is obviously also a big political motivation. Most likely, Russian president-dictator Vladimir Putin wants to capture Avdiivka by the new year because he needs at least some victories on the battlefield. What about the left bank of the Kherson region? The BBC managed to speak with several Russian military personnel who described the battles near Crimea as suicidal for them. You can view the original article on BBC News Ukraine, and I will tell you what is it. Crimea is located on the east-northeast of the territories of the left bank of the Dnieper River, already occupied by Ukrainian troops near the Antonivsky Bridge. With the appearance of the armed forces of Ukraine in Crimea around a small village located on the road between Novakakhovka and Oleshki, a gray zone begins to expand, with Russian troops gradually losing control over the territory and routes becoming dangerous. dangerous. BBC sources in the Russian army confirmed that the Ukrainian armed forces not only crossed into the territory occupied by Russia and established a bridgehead on the left bank of the Dnieper River in the Kherson region, but also began to transfer military equipment there. As BBC sources in the Armed Forces of Ukraine say, from this point, the Armed Forces of Ukraine want to start a more massive offensive to divide the Russian forces and cut off their supply line. Yes, they are on our side. They have established themselves in the Crimea area. There are definitely about 500 Ukrainians there, said the military of one of the Russian battalions. Several units of the heavy equipment were allegedly transported by the Ukrainians on amphibious vehicles to the occupied bank of the Dnieper River on the morning of November 9th. The BBC was informed by 3 Russian soldiers at the front line. Everyone saw that without a pontoon bridge, they wouldn't be able to transfer equipment. Well, they still don't have a bridge, but they dragged several guns across the river by amphibious means. Apparently, there is confirmation that armed vehicles were already on our side at night. Plus, they have captured some of ours, Russians say. The Russian Ministry of Defense is now forming a new company near Crimea. It seems that the Marine Infantry and the Storm Z battalion, consisting of former prisoners and military who have incurred blame, will be sent to assault Crimea. The fellow servicemen call them live targets. These are kamikazes. They are thrown forward. When fire from enemy is upon them, our forces identify the firing points and then deliver return strikes. Politicians are stirring up their games, and so many good guys have fallen for it, he said. Who is lying there by the river? Bodies won't even make it home. It's all delusion, so much hatred around. Everyone hates each other, and for what and why? I can't even ask such questions here, says a Russian soldier. Of course, it's almost 2 years into the war, the occupiers are beginning to understand that it is all delusion and don't understand what they came to die for. The best option, of course, is to surrender voluntarily, because if they desert without orders, they will most likely be killed and shot anyway. Finland has banned Russians from entering the country on bicycles, reports Fantanka. Bodyguards have stopped letting Russians in on bicycles and just turn them around to pedal back to swamps in the Russian holes. And what would the weekend be without Dmitry Medvedev? And anyway, Dmitry and Bodos, always inseparable. This time, Medvedev in a bout of intoxication after yesterday's celebration of probably the occupation day of Kherson, firmly and certainly tells that NATO no longer recognizes Ukraine. Well, I understand man can have various fantasies, but Dmitry, you need to chill. This time is not about nuclear strikes. It must be acknowledged that Odessa, Nikolaev, and Kiev, practically everything else is not Ukraine. After all this, only 3 steps are left to recognize the obvious. Zelensky, who does not go to elections, is not a president but a usurper. The Ukrainian language is not a language but a surjik. Ukraine is not a country but artificially assembled territories. Well, he probably forgot that artificially created territories are kind of Russia's own thing. Well then, thank you guys for your support. It means a lot for me, and see you in my next videos. Slava Ukraini!